You open this door with the key of reason. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of truth. A dimension of freedom. A dimension of joy. You're moving into the land of both the ideal and the real, of the possible and the actual. You've just crossed over into the capitalist corner.
Where reason meets reality, welcome to the capitalist corner.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Capitalist Corner, where reason does meet reality. We are your rational island in a sea of irrationality. I am your host, Mark Pellegrino, and also the chairman of the American Capitalist Party, along with my co-host and the vice chair of the American Capitalist Party, Michael Liebowitz, who's also the host of his own show, The Rational Egoist, which I think recently probably hosted a debate between he and James Valiant, or maybe that's going to be in the future. Originalism versus whatever James Valiant feels is
dude
approach to the Constitution.
We're doing that here, and you're going to be the moderator.
Oh, did we decide that? I thought there were. Oh, okay, that's here.
It was always going to be here.
Oh, is Robert Nasir going to be a part of it? Nasir?
I don't know yet. That we have to figure out.
Okay. Now we don't need two moderators to moderate the two of you, but I do have every confidence. I have to say that Jim is probably going to win this debate.
Well, the crowd differs. They say we need two moderators.
Okay. All right. They think I'll be unfair, basically. They think I'm going to be shilling for James. They want somebody who they think is going to be fair and give you an opportunity. It doesn't matter. You're still going to lose this debate, but, you know.
I feel like crap. Let me just tell you, I feel like crap.
Yeah, did you take your Zycam?
I did. And I started to feel better. I did feel better. Then I got a cough, which is none too surprising, because anytime I get a cold, the cold goes away and I have a cough that seems to last forever. So I figured that was it, but then I started feeling weak again. I don't know what the hell's going on, but I did get the Zycam. I went out and I took it. Good.
Also, colloidal silver is good. Folks, it is Q&A day today. I have to give our usual disclaimer. This show is not affiliated with the American Capitalist Party. If you want to know what the American Capitalist Party's policies are, please go to americancapitalistparty.org, donate, like it, become a member of the American Capitalist Party so we can change the discourse of politics out there today. But hey, you didn't tell me what's going on in Rational Egoist, since
I will, though. I will, but I want to ask you first. Have you ever taken Fisherman's Friend cough drops?
No, are they good?
Oh, they're great. They taste terrible, but they just clear everything up.
They open up your head.
They do. Persephone loves them. Probably just because I got them, but we're not going to get into that right now. Rational Egoist, right now I have my interview out with Nikos, which is fantastic. Nikos Soterakopoulos, great interview, great guy, definitely worth a listen to. Next week I'll have an interview. I interviewed yesterday Kaya Willis, which was, wow, what a great interview that was. Yeah, that was fantastic. That I plan on releasing next week. I also have one coming out with Andy Bernstein and Megan Ribbons on education, with Catherine Dickerson on the benevolence of reason. It's a lot of stuff coming up that's really, really good.
Fantastic. Guys, you should be tuning into the Rational Egoist. Those guests are great. We had Kaya Willis on like a few weeks, was it a couple weeks ago? I'm already losing track of time, but she was amazing. She was a leftist who has now turned classical liberal. Like so many of us in our political youth, we were on the left, and then we grew up. Life happened, and we saw that classical liberalism was the best way to go. Not conservatism, classical liberalism. Conservatism when it was preserving and conserving classical liberalism, but it hasn't been that way for many decades now. So we have some questions out there, Michael, which, because I am wearing contact lenses at the moment, I cannot read as well as you. We should probably start from the top of the questions and work our way down. Persephone has put them in the private chat, and perhaps you can read them out loud and or post them so that the print is bigger, so that my boomer eyes can maybe read them, and we can answer some of these questions. Some of them seem pretty good.
Well, I don't. Nicole Hingle says, I'm so sick and tired of the back and forth over healthcare. Obamacare is 100% on the Democrats. It was passed in 2010 without a single Republican vote. I'm so pissed off at Congress. It's clear they don't really want to fix anything because they benefit from the system as is. My knowledge of economics is minimal, and even I know that costs would drop if government got the hell out of the way and we let the free market do its job. Thoughts? My thoughts are I agree.
Absolutely. And in a way, you have to say the Republicans are complicit in this. Even though they didn't vote for the ACA, they certainly haven't proposed something different. And they certainly haven't done a whole lot of work when they had control of both houses, when they had
That's
the
right.
executive. They have not overturned the ACA. In fact, the Republicans have gone out of their way to show that they are entitlement friendly, and that includes this. So we'll see what happens in the upcoming negotiations, because the ACA is really teetering on the edge of bankruptcy, to be honest with you. They need these subsidies that hide the costs of actual medical care to the consumer, and of course increase demand while not increasing supply, causing all kinds of dislocations and problems. They need these subsidies to continue, which were supposed to expire. And so that is going to be an interesting fight. And if the Republicans let this thing pass, as they have let the Democrats get away with pretty much everything else, and let this cycle of dependency continue, then they are just as complicit. But I agree with you. The real solution is free market medicine. It's abolishing the bans of interstate competition between insurance companies. It's taking away this third-party pay. It's letting insurance companies compete across state lines. All of that stuff will bring down costs because they will be reflective of what the people can bear. And of course, there will be all kinds of options for insurance, like catastrophic insurance. So you pay out of pocket like you do for anything else. And the insurance covers the catastrophic stuff that would, literally leave you bankrupt if you were in a medical crisis. This is not the way it works today. The way it works today is we expect medical insurance to pay for everything, and for us to have this little premium that we pay. It's sort of expected now. So I think that the government has created a sort of parasitic cycle within us, so that we're surprised that we have to pay out of pocket for anything. Now, my doctors, Michael, have since opted out of the system, so I have to go to concierge medicine, which means I pay out of pocket and deal with the insurance companies on my own. So I'm used to paying out of pocket for medical costs, but they are elevated as a result of all of these price dislocations and interferences from the government. So, Nicole, yes, free market medicine would be cheaper, more innovative, and more accessible to everybody. Somebody says something here. Jenna says something here. I want to get your feelings on this. It says, how harmful are minor shamanic rituals and superstitions? What's so funny?
Well, I think that I'm laughing, and I think Persephone is laughing at the same thing. So I'm going to bring her on momentarily and just let her say, well, why are you laughing, Persephone? Is it for the same reason I'm laughing? I'm just curious.
But I'm laughing because it was, Michael, you'll have to read the questions, and then you read one question and he immediately started reading questions himself.
Did I say it wrong? Did I do something wrong?
You said, Michael, you're going to have to read the questions because my eyes, I don't have my contacts. So then we got to an answer. Then you dove right in and just started asking questions.
I know, but I was able to see for some reason.
I know, but it shows that maybe you're a little off. Is all I'm saying.
Here's what I realized. I might be. I traveled 12 hours.
No. 6:15
a.m.
That's not an excuse.
While you were reading articles at 6:15 a.m., I was doing hard cardio.
No, you're a little batty. You're a little wacky upstairs.
This is true, but here's something I discovered. I discovered that I had been putting in my contact prescriptions in wrong. So literally I was putting in two left eyes in my right eye and left eye. So that was probably one of the reasons I could not read as well until I discovered this error. Now, it's not my fault, so to speak, because the way the boxes are labeled.
Oh my God, dude. Have you ever heard the saying about when you're in a hole?
Don't dig it deeper?
Yeah, this is just getting worse.
No.
Yes. Do you know we have a very disloyal audience, by the way? Let me just tell you. So the audience who loves us so much, and I'm talking specifically about the women in the audience. Yesterday, I brought Carlos on, my friend Carlos. He was on the show yesterday. You would have thought that you and I never existed. All they did was fawn all over him. You're so pretty. You're so handsome. Are you single? It was almost as bad as how Persephone acts towards me. I'm just
sounds like Lee was.
She was one of them, but it wasn't her only.
But Michael, how do you feel about these shamanic rituals and superstitions?
Can
you do it just a little bit? Can you do it just a little bit?
No, problem I'm having is it's just how harmful, and I don't like, are you doing them for fun? Like, I talked to a psychic for fun. You know, I had no thoughts that she was going to actually read my mind or connect me to spirits. It just entertained me. But if you're actually doing it because you think it's going to have effect, well, then there's no way to quantify the harm, but it's certainly harmful for your psyche to try to find answers without using reason, to go to mystical or, you know, non-sensory means of knowledge. Of course, it's harmful. I can't quantify it because I don't know the degree. I don't know the integrations that are there. I don't know about the evasions that are taking place. I do know that it's not good.
I would agree. It's like allowing a little lie every once in a while into your epistemological framework. Eventually, it corrupts everything. And if you notice, Michael, like the major pundits on the right, who had a religious foundation for their ethics, have all entirely become possessed by those religious ethics. And so it informs everything now. They used to have, you know, little pockets of reason. You could listen to them on the news, on news things like we're doing today on current events, and they would sound relatively sane. But then as they got older and the paradoxes in their reasoning, you know, saving reasoning for current events, but reserving irrationality for ethics, it began to become too much for their epistemological structure. And eventually the lies and the faith for their ethics began to dominate everything. And I see that dominating the political right as we speak. And they've become completely irrational. So yeah, you let a little lie in, you start a process that it will be increasingly difficult to reverse the more you do it. Just saying. If you're doing it like Michael says for fun, just to have this experience, just to see what it's all about, yeah, what, you know, you're kind of experimenting and exploring knowledge. But I mean, superstition is a real. I mean, the Twilight Zone, Michael, did a great episode on superstition. Did you ever see the Twilight Zone where, with William Shatner and his girlfriend or his wife, they're just newly married. They had to get their car repaired, and so they stop into this diner. And in the diner, there's this little box with a devil head on it, and you put a penny in, and it tells your fortune. And a couple of pennies inserted, and it seems to be telling these fortunes, which appear to be coming true. And William Shatner becomes increasingly obsessed with this machine, and will not do anything outside of what the machine is telling him to do. He becomes trapped within his superstition. Now, the good news eventually is he is able to free himself from the superstition and liberate himself and go away from the town with his wife, while another couple comes in who's addicted to the superstition and completely trapped by it, comes in to ask the little machine more questions. So yeah, superstition is a trap. It's an epistemological trap. It kills your perceptiveness, your liberty, your freedom to act in the world. It's not good. And I have to say, I had a little bit of superstition with Annabelle, and it prohibited me from taking Annabelle out of the sigiled case.
We couldn't have done that anyway. They would have thrown us out. You two, they didn't care that you were a celebrity.
Yeah, they would have thrown us out. But you know, there was that still within me. Nicole Hingle also asked another question. More and more lately, when she hears Democrats say democracy is at stake. First of all, I hate that term, Michael. Democracy is at stake. Democracy
I hate the whole thing.
Yeah, democracy should be at stake because we're not a democracy. We're a representative republic for a reason. She thinks it means do what Democrats want, or you're a threat to the country. What do you thoughts on that?
Okay, this is a very difficult question for me to answer, because I think that politicians, and it's by no means limited to Democrats, frequently say this type of thing, and it usually means exactly what she says: do what we want to do. I do think, though, that there was something especially, and I don't even know if I can, if I can state it strong enough, insidious, that took place in 2020. Where we literally had one of the president's advisors, Steve Bannon, say before the election that if Trump is losing this election, he's going to claim victory. he's going to claim that it was stolen. Of course, he won't actually have won, but he's going to claim it anyways. Trump then did it, proceeds to continue to do it. They wanted the vice president to not slate electors. They tried to get phony electors slated. So in that sense, that certainly was a threat to the constitutional structures of the country. And, now the talk of running, a third term, which then they say, oh, no, he's just trolling. He's just joking, which I'm not sure that he is, but maybe the threats out to the media and everything else. These things to me are especially insidious towards undermining the structures that we have remaining.
Right, but I think the political discourse for several decades now has been to reframe what our government is, and the left has been reframing it away from a constitutional republic to a democracy for a long time, and calling it a democracy for a very long time, and they've been popularizing elections and making them more democratic. And so the idea being that when everybody has a political voice in a democracy, it means everything is up for vote and the majority determines what is right or what is wrong. They even determine right. The concept being that is somehow representative of a free society, when I don't think it is, Michael. I think restraining democracy was one of the greatest things that our founders attempted to do. And
I think so too, Mark.
But
this
into populism.
But this is a fight I used to enjoy having. This fight is lost. The fight over the language and whether people are going to say our democracy is just done. I don't know. I don't think it's correct. I think it's wrong. But ultimately, what I want isn't necessarily even a representative republic, although that's what we were founded on. I want a free country, a capitalist country. So I think that you're absolutely correct. It's just not a battle I'm willing to fight anymore because it just become tedious.
It's interesting from you because you are pretty hot on language.
I'm very hot. And if somebody were to pin me down on it, I would say that's true. But you're finding less and less people out there since I've been hearing this and since I've been making this argument. I mean, the Republicans use the language. I think I've heard objectivists use the language of democracy, democracy's at stake or our democracy. And it's just, you can only fight so many battles. We can't fight every battle.
But don't you think that default has now, losing that battle is a very significant thing, because now people simply assume that we are a democracy and there's no constitutional limits to the democracy anymore.
That's true. But I think that what we need to do is beyond the democracy republic debate, simply make I shouldn't say simply, but the argument for non-initiation of force, individual rights, capitalism, freedom, because whatever they're going to call the country, if they're favoring the type of policies that Zoran Mamdani favors, we're screwed.
Yeah, indeed. Sometimes the form of the government doesn't matter if that form recognizes individual rights. It really doesn't matter if that form does that. Rock the rock star.
No. You're not going to just skip Lee. No.
Skipping Lee. I was skipping Lee because
no, I want this question.
You go ahead. Okay, you talk out the question and you answer it, and maybe I will too.
Okay, what would you do if instead of Q&A Friday, it was Freaky Friday, and you woke up in each other's bodies? Also, have you listened to Megadeth? No, I haven't. If I were to wake up in Mark's body, what I would quickly do is realize how much money I had at my disposal. So I would spend a lot. I probably would go into a lot of restaurants and just say, do you know who I am? You might want to comp me a meal.
Oh my God.
I would go and get in his
worst thing to do. That is the worst.
I don't get, this is temporary. You're going to reap the whirlwind on this. I'm getting in his private jet and I'm having you take me all over the place, wherever I want to go. I'm going to bask in the glory of all the women fawning all over me. And I'm just going to have a great, great time with it.
Well, you're going to find that your life is actually just composed of mostly domestic stuff. A lot of
No, Mark, I don't have to do
home-
that stuff. I can do whatever I want now. I'm in your body, not you. You choose the domestic stuff. I'm talking
Okay,
about
so
what I'm
here's
going
what I'm
to
gonna
do.
here's what I'm gonna do inside of Michael's body. I am going to go to 10th Planet fucking New York City and torture the fuck out of it. That's what I'm gonna do. He is gonna wake up after I am in that body, and he will not be able to move for
Oh
4
my
days.
God.
For 4 days.
Mark, stop. Do you realize what you're saying?
What?
You literally just told me after I'm inside your body, you won't be able to move for 4 days.
No, I didn't go there, Michael.
You
My
did.
mind doesn't
Persephone's
automatically-
dying.
My mind isn't in the dirt like yours is, Lee's mind.
And what about Persephone?
My mind is, well, I'm sorry, Persephone.
Look,
probably gotta
look at poor Persephone.
Look at that. Okay. All right. You took it another way, but you will be.
I'm not taking it anyway.
You will be in vain. I got to get to Rock's question now. So did we
You
answer
do.
this question?
We did. We can get the Rock's question
You go
now.
and spend everything that I've saved up for my future and for my family's future. You'd ruin it all in one day. You'd bet it all in black or red. I don't know, whatever your preference is. You'd have fun. You'd live it up. I, on the other hand, would put your body through hell. I'd do interval training. I'd run to 10th Planet, then get my ass kicked and crushed by Eddie Bravo over there, and then limp back home. Get out of your body, get into mine. Of course, my home would be, I guess, repossessed or whatever they
You
call
just
it.
asked me if we were done
be
with
in
this question.
foreclosure.
I said yes, and then
I'd
you
be
go
in
in.
foreclosure. I'd have nothing left in my savings or any of my investments, and you would have a battered body. I think you get the better end of the deal. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. I think I'm done. I'm done with that one. Rock says, Rock the Rockstar, are the right-wing American Christian theocrats of today misrepresenting Christianity, or are they the consistent ones? Go ahead, Michael. What do you think about that? I have thoughts.
I don't know, because for one, I don't know specifically of whom you're speaking. I certainly don't think Andrew Wilson, who's one of these.
He's a
Christian
paleo Christian.
nationalists. That's what I mean. So I don't know specifically who you're talking about. Like he and Dave Smith were joking together about how they like to. Andrew says he likes to watch the ICE agents every night dragging people, through the streets, immigrants, and that type of thing. So him, no. Are there some? Probably. I don't know enough about medieval or ancient Christianity. To the extent that they think that Christianity should govern, I would say that, yeah, they are acting as the Christians of old. I don't necessarily know that that's consistent with Christian theology.
So I'm a total amateur in Christian theology, but I was a Christian at one point, read the Bible multiple times, went to church a couple times a day. And there is a famous saying from Jesus, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, render unto God what is God. And he did this to try to diffuse Roman suspicion that he might be a zealot, a rebel, who was there at the time when the Romans occupied Judea, Samaria. Jesus was born in a time of extreme political and social tension, because the Jews of that time did not want to be Romanized. And so several of them were in rebellion. They were sort of a modern day mujahideen, if you might say. So religious fanatics that were in rebellion against the gods of Rome, the laws of Rome, and some of the secularization of Rome. And they didn't want to bend the knee to that. And Jesus was trying to separate himself from those people by making it known to the Roman authorities that he had nothing to do with the kingdom on earth. His kingdom was entirely in heaven. So I think that those people who weaponize Christianity now and attempt to use it as the moral base of their political platform, and even to institute that legally, are not acting in the spirit of Christ. Christ separated himself from the material world and said his kingdom was somewhere else. Let the material world do its thing. Let the spiritual world do its thing. So
yeah, I agree with Mark 100%.
Yeah, I don't think they're acting in the spirit of Christianity, and they're dangerous. Let's just put it that way.
No, I was speaking more of they acted as the early Christians acted, not in terms of what Jesus actually commended people to do. In terms of Jesus, he actually said, you know, the governments are planted there by God. Let them do what they want, and you know, we gonna go pray or something.
Well, certainly the church allied itself with monarchs, and certainly the monarchs used the church to justify much of what they did. And there was lots of warfare between sects of Christianity in Europe, the Protestants and the Catholics clashing for centuries upon centuries with each other over doctrinaire differences. That's certainly true. It was politicized and weaponized over the centuries, but that's not pure Christianity to me. Pure Christianity is a fairly peaceful and isolationist kind of philosophy where, Michael, for the first time, you literally did not need a religious bureaucracy as the go-between you and God. As Jesus set it up, you had a direct relationship with the Lord. And you didn't need the church. You didn't need this institution. You didn't need the Pharisees and the Sadducees to tell you what to do. You didn't even need all those laws. All you needed to do was love your neighbor as yourself and your God. And that's it. He simplified 619 laws into two. The golden
13,
rule.
Mark, 13.
613 laws into two. Were they 613?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So I was 6 off. But thank you for your precision. So that's my thoughts, Rockstar. If you have any other thoughts about that, please make them known in the comments, because I want to hear your perspective entirely. I mean, the Charlie Kirks of the world, I got to say, the Charlie Kirk and his wife are sort of scary. And I've heard that Turning Point USA. I remember when Turning Point USA.
Okay, I got to chime in for 1 second here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got to go take care of something. Would you like Persephone on the screen with you so you can read through the headlines? I'll be back in a few minutes. Yes, sure. Bring Persephone? All right.
Yeah, bring Persephone up. Persephone, I know you look stunned, but you are now the co-host of the Capitalist Party. How does it, not Capitalist Party, but Capitalist Corner. How does it feel?
It feels great.
Does it feel great?
Yeah, I'm having such a good time.
What did you think about that Christian question from Rock the Rockstar? Did you like my response?
Yes. I have issues with Christians, just in general.
Yes, and particularly Christians who seek political power and want to use Christianity in order to bolster that political power, as some of the current Republicans seem to be doing. So I guess we're going to deal with a headline here. So this is from CBS News. You and I are going to deal with this. I hope you read this article. Not sure if you did.
He didn't send it to me.
He didn't? Well, top officials present Trump with military options for Venezuela in the coming days. So you know that Trump has designated the Maduro administration a narco-terrorist regime, and that designation has, of course, given him powers in his own mind to start upping the military presence in that region, which he has done. He sent an aircraft carrier there called the Gerald Ford, and he sent other military ordnance there, and they are presently considering military action against Maduro. Now, this is a president who, of course, campaigned on no wars, no more wars, and, of course, put the Biden administration down for the way in which they got out of wars, the way in which they deployed troops, and now here we are deploying troops in the Caribbean to fight a teetering socialist state over narco-terrorism. Now, first of all, what do you think of that term, narco-terrorism? I think it sucks. I don't think it describes anything real.
No, I think it's stupid, and I think they like to use the word terrorist so that they can fearmonger.
Indeed. Yeah. Terrorist is a term, folks, where somebody uses violence to achieve a political end. Last I looked, these drug dealers and cartels, as vicious and despicable as they are, a product of prohibition, I might add, were simply transferring a product from one place to another. Yeah, it happens to be legal in the place that they're transferring it to, but they're not committing an act of violence, particularly for political gain, against anyone. And when that product hits the shores of America, nobody has to take it. You are not bound by law to take it. There's no regulation that says you have to take it. Even if you're an addict, there's no even biological need for you to take it. So there's absolutely no force initiated on any other human being in this entire transactionary process, which is only made more violent by the fact that the government prohibits it. As we can see by the military action it's taking against many of these boats that happen to be in the Caribbean. I think the head count now is at 80 killed as a result of these, with a potential 25% of those being completely innocent. We know that the one or two survivors, one survivor I think was sent back to either Ecuador or Colombia, and the court couldn't even convict him. They couldn't even convict him there was no evidence that he was transporting drugs from one place to another, and so they had to let him go. Yet this person was attacked by the U.S. military, and the U.S. military is now priming itself to do something, including boots on the ground in Venezuela, to overturn the Maduro regime. Now, it's shit like this, I think, Persephone, that causes people to think, there is this shadow government, and there's a reason they're doing this. Trump probably wants all the oil in Venezuela, and that's the reason he's going to attack Venezuela right now. What do you think?
Well, I think I Like Numbers said that Clinton did the same thing in Haiti, and it was to pressure the leader to step down.
Clinton did the same thing in 80.
In Haiti.
Oh, in Haiti. Okay, in Haiti.
I
was going to say, that's a little too early for Clinton. So he did the same thing in Haiti. Yes, well, I mean, look, there is something to be said for the Monroe Doctrine, where we get to control the Western Hemisphere a bit, and we don't want hostile regimes near us, and the more sophisticated weapons get, the easier it is for those weapons to actually land home. There was a time at which the oceans really separated us from powers, but that separation is smaller and smaller and smaller with the advent of satellite technology, missile technology, laser technology, AI. All of that stuff shrinks the world. So, I mean, a simple enforcement of the Monroe Doctrine may not be a bad thing, which is just keeping hostile regimes away from us. I don't mind that. Now, I don't speak for the American Capitalist Party, which is largely non-interventionist, but I certainly think it's healthy to keep bad people out of your neighborhood. What say you?
I mean, yes, I do agree with that, but
But do we have to do a major buildup in the Caribbean and unseat Maduro right now? Does it matter?
No, I don't think so.
I'd like to pose that question out to folks in the audience and ask them what their feelings are about the military buildup in Venezuela, and why are we bullying the Maduro regime? It's certainly an illegitimate regime in my perspective. Any free state has the, I think, moral right to topple an unfree state. That's for sure. The question is, should we? And I don't know that we should.
While everybody answers that question, there was another question from Rock, who said, would America as a monarchy with an objectivist monarch be better only while they're on the throne than what exists today in America?
As I said, I don't know that the form of government matters so much as what founds that and grounds that form. If the government is grounded in individual rights, the monarch has no power to violate the rights of the individual citizens. Likewise, we've seen how a representative republic can turn from constitutional restraints to an absolute state with absolute power of the individual. So certainly that form of government doesn't matter because it's not grounded in a conscientious adaptation of individual rights and rational egoism. But I would say, yes, a monarch with objectivist principles would actually be better than what we have today.
Interesting. My friend also wants to bring the monarchy back, but she wants to bring the English monarchy back, so she's insane.
There's a part of me that thinks this, Persephone. Tell me if you think I'm wrong, because I say things that are controversial sometimes. But right now, the legislature has done a series of things. Not only has it given up its responsibility of legislating, but it's also created deep dependency, a cycle of dependency that Hayek would say leads to serfdom. They've done this with the ACA. They've done this with Medicare, Medicaid. They've done this with welfare statism, Social Security. All of these things that were at first considered benevolent safety nets for people have actually created deep dependency, so that going through a legislative process to undo those laws and to try to restore independence to the people of America would be incredibly long. It would be an incredibly long and torturous process that would take decades upon decades upon decades, because the legislators are now dependent upon giving those spoils to their constituents, and there's no incentive to really take those programs away or to start reducing them. Therein lies the rub of an objectivist-based monarch who would have the power over the legislature to assume the power of reducing these laws and reducing these regulations and firing state employees who are now statutorily protected, which I think is also a paradox, a contradiction of their fiduciary responsibility to the people of America. What do you say?
If there should be a monarch, no, I don't think that the monarchy is a good idea in any.
No,
context.
under the circumstances that I recommended, with individual rights as the guiding principle, and with the cessation of state power as it stands today.
I don't know. I haven't. I need to give that more thought before I say anything.
Okay.
But Michael, what do you think? Do you think we should have a monarchy?
So ask the question fully contextually first. Fully contextually, ask Rock's question.
I know what Rock's question was, and my answer is that if you had a king, but you still had a right-respecting government, the king wouldn't be a king as we think about it, so it really wouldn't make a difference. It's something entirely different. I'm inclined to think, though, I do think that power does have a tendency to corrupt. So if you had a hereditary king there who could not be removed, not elected, then I think it could end up being a serious problem. I would not support it. Let me just put it that way.
And therein lies the rub. The vice chair and the chair of the American Capitalist Party disagreeing once again on something. But that's what makes us fun and interesting. Speaking of which, remember to like and subscribe to this. Remember to share it across social
media. And remember when you tell somebody to take a medication, Mark, to tell them the possible side effects.
Why? What happened?
I'm not going to get into it, but I've got a situation going on over here. Like no one told me about.
From the Zycam?
Yeah.
I can only guess. I'm imagining what it is right now. It's in situation.
Yeah, but you tell people that. You don't say,
I don't have those side effects that
you guys know that this is on the internet forever.
Yes, he does.
He still recommended I take Zycam. It doesn't matter where it takes place.
I'm just double checking.
Ian Gilmore says it's easy to fall into the trap. If you started repealing these laws, the initial effects might be increased prices.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Reaction controls being lifted as compensation. I know I read that very badly because...
No, I read it before. I just don't know what he's talking about.
It's from like way earlier in the show.
Yeah.
So what is it referring to?
It's the first thing that you guys were talking
about.
So
the initial effects of repealing these laws would cause disruptions. The disruptions would, get people to want the laws to be returned, and it becomes a vicious cycle. That's true. But are we seeing these kinds of disruptions in Argentina? I mean, he has taken a chainsaw to a lot of the government, is going to get more austere and brought down inflation, and really is helping the people over there quite a bit.
I don't know enough about the particulars in Argentina, and I also don't know about the particulars of the laws that he's talking about here. I would say this. I'll give an example. If all of a sudden we were to come along and say tomorrow we're abolishing public education, there will be no more public schools.
Yeah, you can't do that.
That's what I mean. So it depends on what it is you're talking about, and given that I don't know, and we are on the internet forever with your cat and Persephone's cat ears.
Yeah. So look, for programs that have been in place for decades upon decades upon decades and built institutions that millions and millions of people are dependent on, you would have to slowly phase those out over a period of probably 5 to 10 years to give people other options.
Where did you get those numbers from?
I just pulled them out of my ass. But
Okay.
but I'm saying that whatever time it takes for the competition to come up, which I think could be quite fast now that we have certain types of technology, innovations to education in particular would be pretty quick. And then you phase out that stuff, you sell off that property, you pay off debt by selling off, you pay off the federal debt by selling off federal property. All that land that the government owns
I'm definitely for that. Good idea.
could pay down on debt.
So Ian said his point was just being careful about overselling the results of deregulation, which I guess makes sense.
Well, deregulation is a little different. I think you could deregulate rather quickly. It's a matter of eliminating government programs that people are dependent on. That has to be very slow. But deregulation could happen now, and it could happen very quickly. And I think private organizations could take over because some private organizations already do exist for that kind of stuff. So Jenna says, smudge your house.
About the shamanic rituals, and you were talking about like whether that has negative effects. So she was saying she smudges her house.
Does that mean a sage? You take sage and go through the house and burn out?
It's very big in prison, very popular among the convict population.
Smudging?
Really?
Yeah.
They would sage their cells before they went in there?
No, that's the whole point, is it gets you out of your cell because it has to be done outside. So if they sign up for that, then they get to go outside every day.
They can sign up to have their cells saged?
No, they go outside to smudge every day. It gets them out of it. They're not removing them from the cells to smudge the cell.
That doesn't make sense.
But that's what you do. You smudge a room. You don't smudge yourself.
They go outside with this thing. It's in like a little, it looks like a clam, I guess. And they do this, and it sends the stuff into the air. The sage. It smells up the whole place.
Yeah, sage smells terrible. But
okay, that's not.
Yeah,
that's not what
it's
it's
generally like in your house. You
it's
walk around.
It's a type of exorcism where you take the sage, the burning sage, and you go around from room to room. You may even chant a few incantations, but the sage itself is supposed to drive out the bad juju. So,
Jenna says you can also smudge yourself. James says he has smudged other places, and it smells great. James, I think you're wrong.
I like sage.
No. I'm sorry, I think you're wrong as well.
This is what they do, and I have it right here. Smudging is a Native American spiritual cleansing ritual that involves burning sacred herbs like sage, cedar, sweetgrass, or tobacco. The smoke is used to purify a person, place, or object by clearing negative energy, while the rising smoke is a way to send prayers to the spirit world. That's exactly what the inmates do. So once again, Persephone and Mark are wrong. I'm happy that James Valiant got ahead of this one and didn't wait for Mark to give his answer so he could agree with Mark.
Also, Lee says herbs has an H.
Herbs?
Yes,
Herbs.
that's the way they say it in the UK, Michael. They say
Herbs?
And in South Africa and most places. Yes.
No, not in most places that count.
I'm afraid you guys are really overemphasizing the importance of countries other than America. I mean, really, come on. Does it really matter how they're pronouncing it in, Clactonshire or some freaking place in England? No, doesn't matter.
Hey, so Race Jacobson says people took Skynet in Terminator movies too seriously. And now we have anti-AI Luddites running around trying to ban it. Even computer geniuses who should know better. I mean, I'm actually working with a person right now on the show who is very anti-AI, and I'm working with another person on the show who is very, not an objectivist, but should be, very pro-reason, very unafraid of AI, as most objectivists are unafraid of AI and want more of it. But the other person is convinced that AI is going to destroy pretty much every industry out there. That's never been the case with new innovation, and I don't think that's going to be the case with this one. Michael, what do you say?
My concerns about AI have nothing to do with it destroying innovation. I don't think that's even remotely a possibility. these like deep fakes and things of that nature, that stuff does scare me, but I'm optimistic that solutions to that will be discovered.
Yeah, there's going to be a way to be able to tell that. I mean, there's going to be a way to be able to tell that so that that stuff can be exposed. I'm not so worried about that. Certainly, when there's innovations in a technology, the bad people can use it too, right, guys? I mean, that's just the way it is. Virtuous people use it, bad people use it, and the bad people use it to do bad things. But virtue in the end wins. So let's go with the technology. Let's not ban it, folks. It can help diagnose diseases really quickly. It could help come up with combinations. I just heard about at the Irreplaceable Spark conference. This awesome dude who works for a biotech lab. AI helped them like narrow down medication experiments from about 2,000 to 60. And just that in itself enabled them to produce a drug much, much more quickly than they would ordinarily be able to do. So this is a potential lifesaver, guys. I mean, this could, to the longevity movement, it could revolutionize everything. Like the Green Revolution revolutionized us, the Industrial Revolution, the American Enlightenment. Now this is a new shift, I think, in a cultural shift that could make us so much better and exponentially faster. I just see the possibilities as being endless here. I don't fear it. I like it. Question: Can I wear an Annabelle or some other conjuring type of T-shirt to your dojo when we hit the mat next year? Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, I have no problem with an Annabelle T-shirt. Because I'm going to wrap it around your neck and I'm going to strangle you with it. And
dude, that is going to be all. You want to talk about things being on the internet? Someone's going to pinch that clip.
I'm kidding. I'm not going to wrap it around your neck.
They're not going to play that part of the clip. they don't have to. Yeah, they don't have to use your modifications.
Don't wear an Annabelle shirt. You can wear it, but don't wear a shirt. You know, wear a rash guard. It's a lot easier and slipperier too. But I'm looking forward to the role. I can't wait till it happens. It's going to be super fun. You're going to like it. I'm going to let you beat me up for a while too, so don't worry about it. Question from Lee: when is Carlos coming back on the show? And the answer is Michael.
Whenever he wants.
Whenever he wants. I mean, he's Michael's buddy, man. He
is. He's a very, very busy guy, but he's welcome whenever he wants.
Yeah, I only saw pieces of it, so it looked pretty fun. I'm glad you guys had fun with it. Please remember to like and subscribe to this station.
So one day, now I've known Carlos, for 20 years. So when Carlos gives me information, I know, okay, let's do a double check, get a second source. So we were in Bridgeport, where Carlos is from, and we wanted to go get Thai food. So Carlos tells Diana, "Oh, I know a great place." It's blah, blah. And I told her, do not listen to him. Whatever he's telling you, go here. Do not listen to him. We have to find a place. But did she listen to me? No, she listened to Carlos. Guess what happened? We ended up lost. That's all I'm going to say.
Way to go, Carlos. Way to be consistent. Deeper with Diego says, if you want to know how it is to live under medieval and dark age Christianity, go live in Afghanistan and convert to Islam, or be a woman in Iran. Probably true, but I got to say, Islam is a much more definitive connection to politics. It is a whole system that Christianity wasn't. I mean, Christianity was certainly the moral apparatus by which monarchs used, and the divine right of kings.
I disagree. I disagree.
The divine right of kings was certainly the excuse that the Pope.
That's the point.
In order to gain political power. Let me finish. But Islam is explicitly a political system. Yeah. It is explicitly political. So that's why I think Christianity in the end was more amenable to the Enlightenment and the American Enlightenment, and was able to adjust to secular government, whereas Islam cannot. Yes. It simply cannot.
So Jim is correctly pointing out Romans 13 that says governments are appointed by God, and that's in the Bible. I agree with you about what you were talking about earlier, that Christianity in the Bible tends to talk about think of the ways of this world, that type of thing, or do think not of the ways of this world. And, the kingdom of God is whatever. But in practice, that it's the same thing. Islam is explicitly a political religion, where I don't think Christianity is, although the governments are appointed by God. But in practice, I don't see the difference.
Yeah, so Rock is clarifying his question about religion was in reference to Matt Walsh and Nick Fuentes and his urges to criticize them for tarnishing religion, but not sure that they are. I think they are. But of
Okay.
course, but wait,
he asked that question a half hour ago, just so you know.
I know, but I'm following the chat right now in order. So, but did you already answer that?
Persephone, I think, might have.
Persephone, did you answer that? No.
She didn't answer it. I was kidding.
No,
You were right, and I was wrong, so I did a sleight of hand.
Oh, that very good. Okay, so they should be criticized. I don't think they are. I don't think they are representing Christianity as it is. But then again, it doesn't matter. It's an irrational system, and people can, sort of like stem cells, put it on anything and use it to justify just about anything. But they should be criticized. They are not representing Christianity accurately. Clinton did this same thing. Oh, in Haiti. Okay, we already got that. Okay, so he did the same thing in Haiti to pressure the leader to step down. Did we already do this? What military are they building up when they have next to nothing? Aren't they still a collapsing socialist state shithole? This is Venezuela. Yes, I think Maduro, Michael, I think in answer to the aircraft carrier coming offshore, Maduro enlisted 2,500 soldiers to meet them. 2,500 soldiers. You can predict how that's going to go, guys. It's not going to work out well for Maduro. But Maduro's really trying to kowtow to Trump and get him not to invade him because he wants power. He wants the billions and billions of dollars in revenue that he makes by being in power, by depriving the Venezuelan people of the resources that they should have in a free market. Yeah, and it's what do you think what is this show of muscle in Venezuela all about, Michael? What do you think? What is this? Is this distracting from any other issue for Trump?
I have no idea. I don't know. The problem is the guy has no principles, so it's very difficult to predict where he's going or what he's going to do, because it's a matter of whim. Oftentimes, it's a matter of who talks to him last, and then they convince him, oh yeah, that's the way to go. It seems that they're angling for regime change in Venezuela, but we'll wait and see, I guess. But that's where I would predict it's headed.
I'm gonna guess that there's not a George Washington or a Thomas Jefferson or even a Thomas Paine in Venezuela waiting to take over, or even a Malay waiting to take over and make.
I don't even think there's a Thomas Friedman in Venezuela. Yeah,
so they're screwed. I mean, regime change is just changing from one mystic of muscle to another mystic of muscle. Basically, it's going to be no shift unless he wants to take over the country himself and put a military governor in there and then take over the resources and enforce free market principles, a sort of Japan-esque sort of military government, which seems rather un-Trump-like, given the principles not principles, but given the promises that he made during his election bid. So Ian Gilmore says the restraints on the government are what matter. So I think when we were talking earlier about it doesn't matter the form of the government, it's the restraints on the government that matter. I sort of agree with that, and also the governing principles that matter. Are the principles individual right? Are they rational egoism?
I think more
sacrosanct.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, is it sacrosanct property? Yes.
Yeah,
go ahead.
That was my fault. My thoughts are that what matters far more than any of that is the culture. What dominates in the culture? Does reason dominate? Does respect for individual rights dominate? Does egoism dominate? Or does chaos dominate? Does vengeance dominate? Hate the other side, tribalism, collectivism dominate? That, I think, is where the real battles are.
So we have an opinion posited here that it's likely an attempt for Trump to create a national emergency for centralizing more power and winning elections. Do you think by that? I don't put anything past him. I don't
either. I just am loath to make predictions because it's tough with this guy. Other than that, he's going to do things wrong. The particulars, I have a very tough time with.
I'm going to agree with James Valiant. As usual, representative government allows for peaceful change. Yes, indeed. And we are one of the few countries in civilization that has peaceful changes of power and have had it for 250 years. But we seem to be quickly approaching a point where that's not happening. Given what happened in 2020, there was not a very peaceful exchange of power, change of power. And I'm very curious to see what happens in the upcoming presidential election. Given people's lack of entrenched lack of faith in the system, irrespective of evidence.
So, just as an aside, I'm going to switch the subject because we're running out of time here. So, you mentioned Jim Valiant. Jim Valiant and I have a couple of projects in the works. We're going to be doing. It won't be on tomorrow, but we're going to start recording tomorrow using OPAR as a self-help guide, which is going to be great. And also, Jim and I are going to do an episode, maybe two, where we address the youngsters who go by the term anarcho-objectivists. Jim and I are going to render a critique. Now, it's an interesting thing. This is what I actually wanted to say. So, I like these guys. I disagree with them, but I like them. They're young guys who are, deeply into learning. They're studying philosophy, making arguments, disavowing aggression. I disagree with their method and their conclusions, but I think that they're good. They're good kids, good people. Kids, they're in their 20s. But anyway, so yesterday on our YouTube chat, somebody came in and told me that I need to stop calling them good guys. They're not guys. They're not good. They're worse than communists. And I'm just like, they're young guys, man. You can't just expect everybody to snap their fingers, read Ayn Rand, and now they're massive integrations. Do you know what I mean? So you can't judge by that. I judge by the fact that I know when I was 24, I thought much differently than I think now. Right?
Absolutely. Thank God.
So Ian Gilmore says in 5 years, most will have dropped the objectivist part. I don't know that that's true, Ian. I think that is a completely arbitrary assertion. I think there's no way to know that. They're studying Ayn Rand. There's no way to know that they're going to get rid of Ayn Rand and embrace the rationalism of anarchism and libertarianism. You just can't know such a thing. And if you think you can know that, you're wrong too. Jim, help me out.
If you're
Jim's going to agree with me. Watch.
Okay. I think if you're marrying those two together automatically, one side's got to win over the other. And sometimes it's the anarchist that wins over the objectivist.
That's not what he said.
Yeah, he said they're going to drop.
Yeah, he says they're going to drop. You say sometimes it happens. You don't see the difference there?
No, well, probably most of the time with a young person, it's going to happen. Because I don't think they completely have integrated what reason means yet. And they mistake it for whim. My cat has no boundaries whatsoever.
All right, you got to do everything today because I feel like utter crap.
All right, folks. So the capitalist thought of the day is sort of a repetition. Capitalism is about liberty. All right, it's not just the dry private ownership of the means of production. It's freedom of choice across every aspect of human behavior. Free to choose what you buy, free to choose what to sell, free to choose in every aspect of your body, of your material existence. And that is the kind of world we want because we think that is the kind of world that creates the most benevolence, right? It's the other world, the zero-sum game, where you only gain at the expense of your neighbor and where your choice is removed and your moral agency is robbed from you by those who are supposed to know more than you, that causes the malevolence and the suspicion and eventually, I think, degrades the human soul. So we want we want an aspirational world in which people are free to choose, folks. And I guess the question for today, you sure you don't want to ask the question, Michael?
I can't even I can't think 2 seconds ahead. My head's all foggy. My throat hurts. I'm all congested.
I'm gonna go with this last one. Do you think Trump is rabble rousing in Venezuela because he wants to take over and assume control over the oil resources? Or do you think he's trying to distract from his present political domestic difficulties with prices not falling, unemployment actually happening, contraction of businesses, where his tariffs are actually doing the opposite of what he said? Please answer that on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to this station. We're going to see you on Monday. Same bat time, same bat place, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. Also, tomorrow we have the show Self-Made Soul at 9 a.m. Come out, come listen to it. We're going to be talking about an Ayn Rand essay. What is it? The Psychology of Psychologizing? Is that the name of the essay? And we're going to be doing that, folks. And the last show on grief, I think we got a great deal of value out of it. It was a very cathartic show for me. I think a few people experienced the same thing. So come out and enjoy that show. And you have a whole weekend to check your premises. So please do that and come back fresh and renewed on Monday. Until that time, peace.
Thanks, everyone. Love you.